Thank you for joining us and welcome to another installment of NEC-Suites, where we visit with a community leader to glean some insights on items to benefit our small business community. Here today, I'm proud to introduce Mr. Kevin Thibault, the soon-to-be retiring CEO of the Greater Orlando Aviation Authority. Thank you for joining us
Thank
today.
you for having me, Billy. Glad to be here.
So this year, we're approaching NEC-Suites a little differently. Instead of it being the traditional setting of sitting and having a conversation in two chairs, we are doing an activity that our guest enjoys. In your case, your family enjoys cruising.
Absolutely.
And I wish the NEC had a budget to be able to do this interview on a cruise. However,
Yep.
why cruising? What do you guys enjoy the most about
You
cruising?
get away, you disconnect, the
Mhm.
phones don't connect. And so it literally, if you're looking for a place to kind of relax, get away, to me, that's the best thing. Now you learn, you can sometimes leverage them to learn about some of the ports of call.
Mhm.
So, as I mentioned to others, sometimes I'll use that to go look at, hey, how is this community? How is this location, like in Europe, right? Would I want to come back to Copenhagen, Amsterdam, wherever it is? And so you get to visit it, you try it out for the day, and then you can say, I want to come back.
And revisit.
Then revisit, right?
But the decompressing, the disconnecting, when I think of cruising, I think of just that, the relaxation. And for me, relaxation is sometimes reading a book, and in your
That's
case,
right.
maybe even reading up on a city you're going to visit. So today, instead of being on a boat and doing having this conversation, we're going to make beach-themed bookmarks
Okay.
using epoxy resin, and so we're going to go ahead and kind of get started, and then we'll do pepper questions in
Sure.
between. So you ready to play with
I'm
glitter?
ready.
My favorite toy. So we're going to start by putting on gloves. These are the bookmarks that we're going to be making, and we're going to mix 4 different colors of the epoxy. And I'll go ahead and pump them, and then we'll put the glitter in them. So
My granddaughters are going to love this, seeing their grandfather doing all
play
this.
with glitter.
Yeah.
So when we think of the airport, normally the acronyms that we get are the ones that are associated with the actual city the airport's in. But in Orlando, the ORL is actually Orlando's executive airport, not our
That's
international
right. This is our
airport. So
city's first airport.
yeah,
96 years ago.
96 years ago.
Get ready
Wow.
to celebrate 100.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
So what's the story behind MCO? What is that? Why is Orlando International named MCO?
So actually, the location where Orlando International
Would have you
is
mix that one while you're
sure.
chatting as well?
Yeah. So was the old actually first Pine Castle Air Force Base from World War II, and then following World War II into the Korean War and Vietnam War. It was a long-serving Air Force base, primarily held B-47 at the time, and then ultimately B-52 bombers. And in 1957, there was a gentleman who was actually the base commander. His name was Colonel Michael McCoy.
Okay.
Died in a kind of training competition. The aircraft had some malfunction, and he crashed and was killed from that.
Oh.
So the community very supportive of Colonel McCoy, and so the Air Force renamed in 1958 the base from Pine Castle to the McCoy Air Force Base, gave it the initials MCO, and when the Air Force transferred the property for $1 to the city of Orlando and all
Nice.
other valuable
Nice.
considerations, we kept the MCO designation. So that's why it's known as MCO.
So the Greater Orlando Aviation Authority, what is that?
So, the both assets, Orlando Executive as well as Orlando
Do a
International.
little more, yeah.
Yeah, you need to give me the right mix here.
Yeah.
Both owned by the city of Orlando. So regardless of who's dealing the day-to-day operation,
Mhm.
both assets are owned by the city. But, back in the 70s, almost 50 years ago, the legislature, through really an effort led by the mayor at the time, Carl Langford, requested that the Greater Orlando Aviation Authority be created to oversee both assets, and they handle the day-to-day management and operations of both of them. So clearly a lot of items are, again, controlled by GOAA, but we still have to have that connection with the city. And so there's some agreements and some documents that I sign and Mayor Dyer kind of
Signs as well.
co-signs. Yeah.
But you are at the end of the day governed by a board, legislatively.
7-member board, 5 of which appointed by the governor, and then the mayor of Orange County and obviously the mayor of the city of Orlando also serve on the board.
Excellent.
And so we meet monthly and go over business through that board meeting.
And so those individuals, so when companies in particular are looking for opportunities to work at the airport, they're not looking for the city of Orlando. They're looking at the Greater Orlando
Aviation Authority.
Or
right.
GOAA for sure.
Yeah, we're the one that's going to contract out that work. And by the way, thank you for your service on the GOAA board for several years. And so they're going to be reaching out to those entities or those people that are part of GOAA to make sure that they're sharing their unique skills and abilities, right? And obviously then connect it with the opportunities that we have coming out. And so we have, as you probably have seen and heard through our team, done a lot of outreach. We've got this almost monthly now, or every other month, coffee and conversations. We just had one at Orlando Executive here recently, and we've had 150 people show up.
Oh, wow. I didn't know.
All different sizes, but mostly local business that are looking to do work at the airport. And gives them an opportunity to know who the different players are within the airport authority, but also gives them an opportunity to see what's coming up, right?
So you've had a remarkable career, having served in a number of different capacities, public sector and private sector. Tell me a little about your trajectory.
Yeah, so as you can tell from my accent, I am not a native Floridian. I come from Massachusetts originally, although I've been in Orlando since 1988. So obviously very familiar with the airport and the community. How's that look, Belinda? Pretty good?
Yeah, absolutely. And so now if you want to do a little squiggle to blend them a little in between.
So, so I started actually in the private sector. I'm a transportation engineer from background, went to University of Massachusetts, got my civil engineering degree there. So
So I'm going to stop you there. So you have a remarkable, you're very charismatic, and that's not necessarily
that's what you said in the interview, by the
I
way.
did, because
He's an
engineers
engineer.
are with the personality. And so, and I don't mean it to be insulting, but when you think of engineers, it's really math and numbers and things like that. And so what drew you to engineering?
I actually started in high school, in vocational high school, doing architectural and mechanical drafting, thinking that's where my career was going to be. At the time when I graduated high school, the environment wasn't as such.
Well, let's do another one also.
Yeah.
So I think we've
the environment in the community was such that there wasn't a lot of architectural that was going on. So I went and decided to go back and continue and get my degree in civil engineering, because that was a related field if you think about architecture.
Okay.
And so that was the path.
Okay.
And then so when I graduated from UMass and looking for career opportunities, actually I thought I was going to be, because civil engineering is such a broad discipline. You could do water resources, you could do dams, you could do structures, transportation, you can do environmental, which would be water and wastewater treatment. I thought that was the career I was going to be in, because while in school I was studying, like minoring in environmental. Developed a great relationship, who, by the way, was one of my first mentors, was the chair of the civil engineering department. And so he actually got me my first job. I had just married Rosie, my wife, And, at that time when you graduate, you're looking for a job. And he connected me with a former alumni who was looking for an entry-level person, but it was in transportation.
Ah.
So you take what you can get type of thing. Went to them and never looked back. Went to the transportation field, and that's how I ended up. It was a small little mom and pop operation, 25 people. So you ended up being a jack of all trades, master of none. And that just helped me for the rest of my career.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And so would you consider that almost like your first mentor?
Absolutely. He would be one of my first ones. And he would check up on me afterwards. It was interesting. I sometimes thought he was stalking me a little bit. I was literally, in entry-level civil engineering, you're doing a lot of land surveying.
Mm-hmm.
So in that first, because you're entry-level, I was out there doing surveying, and all of a sudden he drives by in his car, rolls down his window. Now this is in Massachusetts. And Kevin, how things going? Dr. J, what are you doing here? No, not Evans.
Yeah.
And he just says, no, I just coming in. I happened to see you out there doing your surveying and just wanted to see how things were going. And so then I would keep in contact with him over the years. Of course, he had long retired afterwards. But yeah, just, you learn a lot. I'm big on mentoring, as my team will tell you. And, sometimes it's a formal mentoring and sometimes it's the informal that you just kind of say, hey, that's what I want to learn from, and that's what I want to do when I become a leader in whatever organization.
So from a small business perspective, you're having to do so many different things, especially as a CEO. When you're running a small operation, you wear multiple hats. But when you can identify a remarkable employee and you keep tabs on them, you nurture them, that at the end of the day there's a sense of loyalty to that organization as well, but it also is nice to see them grow and excel, and you've made a difference.
That's right.
In the bigger picture.
That's right.
What was the greatest business advice you were ever given?
There were two, actually. The first, very early on, it was say yes to opportunities that are given to you.
Say yes to opportunities that are given to you.
So remember I told you that little small mom and pop firm, for whatever reason, the CEO of the firm kind of took me under his wing. So he would bring me, and I got to tell you this is a pretty funny story. So he'd take me to different client meetings. Again, we're private sector. We're working for Rhode Island DOT or whatever. So he literally took me to a meeting with the mayor of Providence. One of my first time meeting with somebody, on a higher level, like the official. And he had been given the assignment to redevelop downtown Providence, at least as a civil engineer part, right?
Okay.
Laying out the parking and the realigning the rivers and all that. So he brought me and he said, Kevin, I want you to work on this assignment. Now I'm starting in regular transportation, roads and bridges, right? This is totally different. And he says, I want you to do this. So anyway, he takes me to the event, and everyone's saying, wow, the CEO's taking you to this meeting. And he had told me, after we get done, I'll take you to lunch. Now, if you've been in Providence, heavy Italian influence. I'm thinking I'm going to a great Italian restaurant. He took me to Burger King.
Oh, okay.
So it was a kind of a unique experience there. But I said yes. Yeah. So I said yes. And then the other assignments started coming. Kevin, I want you to work on this new railroad bridge. I want you to work on this parking garage. And I kept saying, sure, yes, yes. Never realizing foundationally was building me.
Yeah.
Right? To go to whatever I need to go. The second one that was kind of transformational is when I was promoted within the Department of Transportation to one of the senior managers. This was way back in 1995. Was pretty young at the time as a director. The secretary at the time said to me, Kevin, I'm going to give you one word of advice. Now that you're a kind of a boss of a big group, know the difference between discussion and direction. The old general wants a beer. You may say something that says, that TV screen looks great and all that stuff. They think you want a TV screen in your office because they think that's direction. No, that's just discussion. And be clear to your team about the difference of the two.
That's a great advice. Know the difference between discussion and direction. Having led FBOT, having led GOAA, what advice would you have for them as they pursue their just contractual opportunities with larger agencies. So small business owner wants to get started, what advice would you have for them?
So set expectations of yourself, right? You're starting as maybe a new firm, or even if you've established your firm, but you're wanting to move it to the next level. What are the expectations? What are you looking to accomplish now with this new client or this new owner? And then make it realistic, right? Don't go in saying, I can build you this $2 billion consolidated rental car facility, right? They're going to be a little skeptical, right? But if you come back and say, I want to be considered for this opportunity, whatever the opportunity is, and you have that resume that shows that, then you've actually said, you give them confidence to say, well, they've kind of done their homework, they kind of know what they can accomplish, and they can always grow.
Yeah.
But kind of get into the right level. Don't overreach too much.
Overshoot.
Yeah.
Yeah. But these are cute little bookmarkers. I did this for one of my kiddos for Valentine's Day a couple of years ago, where everyone in the class got one.
Oh, that is nice.
It's just a nice way to encourage reading. So personalized little bookmarkers.
And then they can remember about who gave them.
Yeah.
Right?
Mailing. Yep.
Right?
So
There you go.
but ta-da! So cute little bookmarkers. So we'll have a beach-themed one that we will get you and your family.
Oh,
so,
well, thank you.
Absolutely. Well, Kevin, thank you for spending time with us this morning. I appreciated you visiting with us, and not only for imparting some great advice, but I also want to thank you for your many years of leadership in Florida, across the state, and the different roles you've held.
It's been very exciting. It's been great.
Thank you again.
Sure.
So, start or grow your business, make connections, NEC the possibilities. Thank you for watching.